So we have already discussed sentence, clause and phrase, but we will have an extended discussion now. As we have already understood, there are a few features that differentiate a sentence from other units of language such as clause and phrase, and very soon we will have a discussion on clause and phrase. For the time being, we concentrate on sentence. As you already know, a sentence is a group of words. That's the first condition for a cluster or a group of words to be considered a sentence. It's a group of words, and the words of this particular group are not randomly or arbitrarily arranged. There is a logic behind their arrangement. They are grammatically stringed together. In other words, these words are combined on the basis of certain rules and regulations which govern the function of any language, in this case the English language. So we can say that sentence is a group of words grammatically arranged, and these words make a complete sense or perfect meaning. That is, you take a sentence, it produces meaning in isolation without the support of other sentences or phrases or clauses or words. It is autonomous in terms of meaning. And finally, a sentence has a subject and a predicate. Subject, as you know, is the person or thing that does the action, and a predicate is the rest of the sentence. Just have it, the example given here. John dances very well. By the way, as you know, John is a noun, and this noun is a subject in this sentence, and dances is a verb. We say dances because John is a singular noun. If the subject was where or they or children, the verb would be dance instead of dances. Okay, let us come back. John dances very well. Here, well is an adverb because it describes, it qualifies the verb dances. And we have got another word, very. It is also an adverb because it qualifies the adverb well. Please remember, an adverb is a word that qualifies, that describes, that says something extra about an adjective, a verb or another adverb. So this is a sentence. And now let us read the definition of the sentence given in your textbook. In quotes, a sentence is a group of words grammatically arranged to convey means produce, complete meaning. A sentence is a group of words grammatically arranged to convey complete meaning. In every sentence, there will be a verb. Let us read a few examples. Jack and Jill went up the hill. As you know, this is the beginning of a very famous nursery rhyme which is known to everybody. Jack and Jill went up the hill. Here the verb is went, which is given in red letters. I am writing a letter. Here we have got two verbs. Actually, we call this a verb phrase because there are two words, am plus writing, and as you know, am is called the auxiliary or supporting verb, whereas writing is the main or principal verb. In the sentence, am is the auxiliary verb and writing is the main verb. I am writing a letter. She is an excellent singer. Here there is only an auxiliary verb, is. Ahmed is drawing a picture. Is drawing is the verb. The boys are playing cricket. Are playing. Here are is the auxiliary and playing the main verb. And now we come to clause, C-L-A-U-S-E. Clause is also a group of words, just like a sentence. But clause is part of a sentence. It has got a subject and a verb. A clause can exist alone, independently, or as part of a sentence. This is the definition. A clause is a group of words. We have already understood that, a group or a cluster of words. So a clause is a group of words which forms part of a sentence. It contains a subject and a verb. Okay, so we can say that a clause is a shorter sentence. some clauses can stand independently without the help of other sentences or clauses, but others have to depend on clauses or sentences for their meaning, and we are going to differentiate between two kinds of clause soon. Okay, let us examine three examples. The first one, John asked me why I was late. Here there are two clauses. The first one is given in red and the second in blue. John asked me why I was late. Remember, you take the first group. John asked me. Here is a subject and here is a verb. John is the subject and asked is the verb. So it's a clause. But do you think that it makes complete sense? John asked me. There is a sense of incompleteness. When I say John is a student, yes, the meaning is complete and perfect in itself. But here things are slightly different. John asked me. Now the second clause, why I was late. Here is a verb, was, and here is a subject, I. So please remember the conditions. Clause is a group of words which has got a subject and verb and usually part of a sentence. Second one, when I came here, she saw me. When I came here, I is a subject and came is the verb. She saw me. She is a subject, so is the verb. When I came here, she saw me. Now just have a look at the three words printed in blue. She saw me. It's a clause which can stand on its own. It's a phrase which can stand independently. It's a phrase which can produce meaning autonomously without the help of any other agent. Well, we call such a clause main clause. Main clause is a clause which produces meaning independently, and a clause which depends on other clauses for the production of complete meaning is called subordinate clause, and we will come to that very soon. We will examine the third sentence. The boy who is standing near the door is my neighbor. Here you can safely drop the clause who is standing near the door. Still the meaning is complete. The boy is my neighbor. The boy is my neighbor. That's very clear. It has got complete meaning. So that's a main clause. Who is standing near the door? It makes sense. It's a group of words. It has got a subject and a verb. It's a clause. Yes, these are the two kinds of clause I referred to a few seconds ago. Main or independent clause. Such a clause produces meaning on its own without the help of any other agency. It can exist alone or independently. The first example is familiar to you. When I came here, she saw me. She saw me is a main or independent clause because it is complete in itself. It is independent. But what about the other thing? When I came here. Yeah, when I came here, then what happened? You know, something is missing here. The meaning is incomplete. That's why we say it's a subordinate clause. Okay. You take the second one. You will be in trouble if you don't improve your health. You just concentrate on the first 5 words which are given in blue. You will be in trouble. Yes. This clause makes sense without having to depend on other clauses. So we call it a main or an independent clause. But what about the other? If you don't improve your health, it is a condition. The meaning is clearly incomplete and imperfect. Now we come to the other group of clauses. We call it the subordinate or the the subordinate or the dependent clause. These terms are self-explanatory. Subordinate means secondary to something else. Dependent means something that depends on another thing. So understandably, such a clause doesn't have autonomous or independent existence. Such a clause always depends on the main clause for complete meaning. The same thing once again. When I came here, she saw me. When I came here is the subordinate clause. It cannot stand on its own. You will be in trouble if you don't improve your health. If you don't improve your health is the dependent or subordinate clause. Now we will briefly talk about another category called phrase, P-H-R-A-S-E. Phrase is also a group of words. Just like the sentence or the clause, the phrase is also a group of words. It is part of a sentence, just like a clause. But the most important point is that a phrase doesn't have a verb. A phrase doesn't have a verb. The function of a phrase is to make sentences more effective, more meaningful. You have a look at the example. The hotel is located near the lake. The hotel is located near the lake. In the first sentence, we have got a subject and a verb is located. But what about the last three words, near the lake? Near the lake has got a meaning, but that meaning is very incomplete. Once you remove the phrase near the lake from this sentence, it stops to produce meaning. So a phrase is a group of words without a verb, which depends on, which is a part of a sentence, which doesn't have a verb. Okay, we will do 4 exercises. The task is to identify the subordinate clause in each of these sentences. The first one, Julia found the ring which she had lost years ago. Julia found the ring which she had lost years ago. Clearly, there are 2 clauses here. The first one is Julia found the ring, which is the subject Julia, which is the verb found. And what about the second one? There is also, we have got a subject, she. There is a verb too, had lost. But the difference is that Julia found the ring. You can put a full stop after this sentence. It is complete, perfect in terms of meaning. But the other clause is incomplete. An expression like which she had lost years ago can exist only by depending on the other clause, which is the main clause. Second one, I will wait here until you finish your work. Same structure. I will wait here. You can stop here, no problem. I will wait here. That's a sentence complete in itself, perfect in itself. But the other one is conditional, until you finish your work. It has got a meaning, it has got a subject, it has got a verb, but without depending on the other clause, its production of meaning is very incomplete. Third one, these cheesecakes which taste very delicious are bad for your health. These cheesecakes are bad for your health. That's a perfect complete sentence. But the clause which taste very delicious, the clause which taste very delicious makes sense only as long as it remains a part of the other sentence. In other words, this clause is meaningful only after depending on the other clause. Last one, since he has got long hair, he wears a ponytail. Since he has long hair, he wears a ponytail. He wears a ponytail is the main clause because it can exist without depending on any other clause. But the other one is different. Since he has got long hair or because he has got long hair, such a clause makes meaning only by depending on another clause. Now we come to the last part of the session. There are 10 sentences. Your task is to identify phrase or clause from this section, from these sentences. First one, the thief was crouching behind the shelf. The thief was crouching behind the shelf. I believe this is not difficult. The thief was crouching is a clause. It is a main clause. Where was the thief crouching? That is made clear by the expression behind the shelf. Behind the shelf is a phrase. Remember, look at it, it doesn't have a verb. So it's a phrase and it makes things clear. This expression tells us clearly the exact location of the thief. Even without it, the sentence is meaningful. The thief was crouching But we don't know for sure where was he hiding, where was he crouching. But the phrase makes it clear. As we stated a few seconds ago, the function of a phrase is to make the sentence or clause more meaningful. Second one. When the sun set, the tourists return to their hotel. Here, when the sunset is a clause because it has got a subject and a verb. The sun is a subject and set is the verb. When the sun set, what happened? The tourists return to their hotel. What is the subject in the second clause? The tourists. And which is the verb? Returned. Third, he reached home at sunset. He reached home. The sentence, the clause is complete. It is the main clause. You need not worry about clause here. Then, at sunset is the phrase because it doesn't have a verb, but it tells us at what point of time he reached his home. Next, I will come when I am ready. Here, when I am ready is a clause, even though it is not complete. It's a subordinate clause. When I am ready, remember I is the subject and am is the verb. I will come is complete. I is a subject and will come is the verb. Okay. 5. The boy was trapped in a dark room. The boy was trapped in a dark room. Here, in a dark room is the phrase. Look once again, there is no verb here. But in a dark room tells us clearly the place where the boy was trapped. The boy was trapped not in a bright room, not in a hall, but in a dark room. The phrase in a dark room makes the sentence clear and more meaningful. 6. If you work hard, you are sure to succeed. If you work hard, you are sure to succeed. Here, if you work hard is a clause. You is the subject and work is the verb. You are sure to succeed is another clause. You is a subject, are to succeed is the verb. Okay. So if you work hard is a clause. Next, Geeta sings very sweetly and soothingly. Just take the expressions very sweetly and soothingly. Does it have a verb? No. Does it make a complete sense? No. So it's a phrase. 8th, the tiger runs at great speed. The tiger runs is the main clause because it exists independently. But at great speed, it doesn't have a verb and it doesn't have a complete autonomous existence. So we call it a phrase. Question number 9. He spilled milk all over the table. Here, all over the table is a phrase because it doesn't have a verb and its meaning is embedded in the rest of the sentence. It only makes the meaning more effective. Finally, when I reached his house, he was having his breakfast. When I reached his house, it's a clause because there is the subject I and verb reached. But it's a clause. He was having his breakfast. It is also a clause. But what's the difference between the two? The first one is a subordinate clause because its meaning is incomplete. Whereas he was having his breakfast. It has got perfect or complete meaning.